welcome to this week's installment of Stacy Wings It. What I'm doing, let me show you this ugly little thing. This little case is something that I downloaded years ago to make a double glasses case so that I can keep my everyday glasses and then my prescription sunglasses nice and safe, and they don't scratch each other, and it makes less room in my purse. See, it's nice and compact. So I literally threw this together out of necessity because I was tired of having two glasses cases taking up room in my purse. And my son, I made it out of scraps of something else, and it's pretty dingy and crummy looking. But anyway, the day I made it, I put it together. I have a little snap to hold it shut, and I came out to put it in my purse, and my son was nearby, and he said, "What is that ugly little thing that you just made?" He's like, "That's like an ugly taco." So I've always thought of this as my ugly taco, and I've had it years, 6-7 years maybe, this ugly taco. I've had lots of glasses come through this little case, and I'm tired of my ugly taco. I'm ready to have something that looks a little nicer. And I would really like a more traditional glasses case where it slides down from the top, but I wanted to hold both pairs of glasses because I don't want two glasses cases in my purse, and I want to be able to keep everything together. So I was sitting in the car with my husband. He was driving. I was thinking, I pulled out my ugly taco to put on my sunglasses, and I started thinking about this. So this piece of paper looks like nothing, but there's one line drawn on it. This is my pattern, so I'm going to cut it out real quick and show you what I'm thinking. You're going to see, this is how my brain works. You're going to see how Stacy does things. So let me cut this. There is nothing to this. Okay, here's my pattern. It's not very exciting, but it folds like this, and glasses can go on this side, and glasses can go on this side, and they're sewn together on 3 sides, and that's it. You've got a little double glasses case, and it's a little wide so that when both pairs of glasses are in there, there's room for it to buckle and move. So we're going to see if this even works. This is my tester. It doesn't take very much fabric. I'm going to have 2 pieces of fabric this size, and then interfacing, or what I'm going to use is, let me show you this stuff. This is a fusible batting. It's really lightweight, but it gives a little protection and cushion. And this is what I use inside of a lot of crafty things, including coasters, Christmas stockings. I use it a lot. So I just got back from Hobby Lobby, which is the only close fabric store. I was going to use a bunch of scraps, but that's where this came from, and then it didn't match everything else. I have some other little pouches and things in my purse, and they're all red and black. So I just picked up some more red and black to make this out of, so it looks nice with whatever. It matches the other stuff in my purse. And then there's enough of this. I only got 1/3 of a yard, which is more than I need. But then I can make some other little pouches with it. And if this doesn't work exactly right, I have more fabric to try phase 2. So we've got these. I'm going to cut out this, one of each of these, and then one out of that fusible stuff. And then the other thing we need is bias binding. I went ahead and got red and black. I know I didn't want white because white gets dirty so easy, and your fingers will be touching it, pulling it in and out. So I wanted to go with something that wouldn't show, and I'm going to just try both of them. I don't know which one's going to be my dominant. You'll see both fabrics, but one will be more seen than the other, and I'll probably do the opposite color bias. So I went ahead and got both colors because I know it's double fold bias tape. I'll use it again. The only thread color I need is whatever bias tape I end up deciding to use. So very basic. So I'm going to cut these little pieces out, and I'm going to fuse my, I just had a little Shaggy moment. My voice just cracked like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I'm going to fuse to one of these layers, probably the red one, though I don't think it matters one bit. So anyway, I'm going to get all those things prepped, and I'll show you what they look like, and then we're going to start assembling this. This is going to be fast, cute, and I'm going to have a new glasses case. So here's my pattern. This is the bottom, this is the top, and I've got both my fabrics layered right side out because that's kind of how they're going to be sewn, and it just makes sure that I don't have a problem. In case I didn't cut this perfectly even right to left, my pieces will still line up. So I'm just going to cut this out and then just cut out one layer from this. I have my 3 pieces cut out. I've gone ahead and just lightly fused to the red this, but I'm going to show you how this works because it's really easy to see now before I add the bias. It folds, it does a little triple fold like this, and can you see glasses fit on that side and glasses fit on that side? And because it's two-sided, one side is the red polka dot shows with the houndstooth backing, and one side is the houndstooth showing with the red backing. It's very simple. Very, very simple. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start binding. And I have to decide, because I kind of like to do a continuous binding that goes around, and I have to decide exactly how that's going to work. And I think what I'm going to do is start on one corner down here and come across the top like so, and then down this corner, and then I can fold it in on itself and finish the binding just across the bottom, and then I'll just come back and top stitch these down and it'll be made. So that's my thinking. You could totally do this without bias binding and kind of treat it like a pillow where you would put right sides together like this and do a tiny stitching, flip it around through a hole, and then just fold it on top of itself. That would also work. But I like the look of the bias binding. As I'm doing this, I think I'm just going to bias bind it in black, just because it's going to show the least dirt, wear, tear, and I think I'm going to like it the best of the two options, but it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and get my machine set up, just a straight stitch, and I'm just going to sandwich the bias in. If you've never worked with bias before, let me open this up really quick. Now I did sort of a narrow double fold bias binding. Double fold means that, get this open, here we go. So here's my little bias, and double fold means that it, I hope you can see this. I know it's hard in these cameras, but it's actually folded on itself. Single fold is open like this, and they come in different widths. Let me come over here where it's against a dark background. So this would be, if it were a single fold, double fold is down like that. So this is what I'm going to use, and it's sort of a narrow one. I just like the narrow. I think it just is cleaner and neater looking. So when you go to sew it though, bias tape has one edge that's a tiny bit longer than the other, and when you're sewing, you want to sandwich it so that the shorter edge is on top, and then that makes sure, it helps to guarantee that you catch the bottom edge. If you sew it the other way around, it might not catch that bottom edge. So when I sandwich this like so, I'm putting the long edge on the back and the short edge on the front, and I can just go around this U all the way around it. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to put it under the machine. I'm going to top stitch close to this edge all the way around, and I'll be back in a minute to show you the next step. Isn't this going fast? Like I've only been working a couple minutes and we're already to this phase. Here I am stitching. You can see I'm just straight stitching, but I'll just show you what it looks like. And that's how it looks stitched on, and because it's bias, I can take this curve very easily, and I'm just trying to make sure everything stays straight and I don't have any movement between my layers. It's starting to look like a little oven mitt or something right now, and I haven't cut this off, and I didn't sew it quite to the edge so that I have room for turning this around. And I'm going to now do my little triple fold, and I can use my pattern paper if I need to, because I did mark my little folds, but it's pretty easy to line it up to find where the little folds are going to go. And now I can take this, I'm going to actually zigzag this down and make this nice and compact first, and then I'm going to bring this little piece across like that and finish it. So I'll have this little across the bottom like that. And then all that's left is I will take my top stitch up this and top stitch on this side. On this side, it's going to, I actually am considering, before I even sew this shut on the bottom, stitching this a little bit here so that the black shows on the inside and does not show on the red side. So I might do that, and I can see I have a little spot where it missed, so I'm going to actually come back. I'm going to fix this really quickly. I'll be back in a second and I'll show you how I start my fold. Well, so let me fix this. I found a hole. So I folded. I decided not to even sew on the folds to hold it down because I'm going to be top stitching this, and that's going to do the same thing. So not even going to worry about that. I did zigzag this together, just a really tiny one to make it nice and compact and right on the edge, so that I can now take this piece and I'm flipping it open. Now I remember I stopped a little early. I stopped just over 1/4 of an inch, almost 3/8 of an inch early, so that I'm going to actually kind of loop this around to the back, and it's going to come all the way across like this. And then in the front side here, the back's nice and smooth and even, but the front side I'm going to have a little pleat. It's actually going to be kind of like a little bias. I'm going to just fold it over so I can top stitch it. So I'm going to put a couple pins just to hold everything together, and then this edge I'm going to cut a little long so that I can fold it back so I don't have any raw edges. I don't want to just have a cut edge. I want to make sure everything's nice and finished. So I'm going to cut this about right here, like that. Put a pin or two in it to hold everything. Hold it like that for a minute so you can see. So I'm going to take this edge, I may cut a little shorter, so I can fold it back on itself like that. And see that it's nice and even. So now all that's left is I have to top stitch across there, and then I'm going to top stitch down through all the layers here and here, and it'll be done. You could also do a few hand whip stitches if you don't want to see any stitching on this back side. I may also, I don't know, there's lots of ways you could do it, but that's what I'm going to do. Just going to top stitch it really quickly. And I could switch to red thread for my bobbin to do this so that I have red and not black showing. After I stitch this, I'll make that decision, but I'm going to go ahead and sew this shut really quickly at the bottom, and I'll show you how it looks and see how it works, and if I made it too wide, etc. We'll find out. So I've sewn the bottom. There it is. So the bottom little edge is finished, and I've come and I've sunk my needle right here, and then I can go ahead and just turn right up and top stitch through all those layers if I want to. I will have black thread showing on that side if I do that. So I'm sort of debating back and forth if that's what I really want to do. Here is my first one that I made. I have some things I don't like about it that I'm probably going to do differently. I don't like stitching straight through and having this kind of here. I think I would rather catch just one layer and the fold, which is what I did on this side. So this side, I didn't stitch through both sides, and I prefer that. There's a little hole here because I didn't sew in a good order. So I'm going to redo that. So I'm going to cut out a second one and do this again and change the sewing order just slightly, and we'll see how it goes. But it works fine. It's a perfectly usable double glasses case, and it's pretty cute. Okay, cutting out the second one. Back at this stage, that's the same. What I'm going to go ahead and do is fold this into the thirds and stitch this down so that the side that's red that's going to show through, I'm going to go ahead and stitch it down so that the black stitching will be on the inside here, but it's only going through a single layer. Then I'm going to flip this around, and I'm going to kind of do the same thing on this side. The problem with this side is this one's already sewn shut, right? So I can't, it doesn't matter which side you choose, you're going to have one side sewn shut, so it's harder to stitch it through. So this side, when I get ready to do it, I'm probably going to come up here and open as best I can like this and do a few machine stitches up here to hold it, and then I may actually whip stitch this by hand. I just didn't like the way it looked on this one where the stitching is, and you can actually see it kind of looks crooked. I just didn't think it looked nice. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch down one side straight through, flip this over, and do just a tiny little tack up here at the top. I'm going to open it like this and just tack it so it's nice and sturdy where it's pulled in and out, and then I'll probably do a few hand stitches to hold it inside. Flip this around and seam it up, and we'll have glasses case number 2, and I'll show you what that one looks like. It's going to look a lot like this one with less stitching showing through, a little more professional looking, I hope. So here is one side sewn down, so you can see here's my little pouch, and you just sew it right to where the curve starts, and then this is the black stitching on the inside. It doesn't show that much, but it does show. And now I can flip this one around, and I'm going to line everything up, and I'm just going to pull this apart as best as I can and just do a little tack right there to make it nice and sturdy with the machine. And then I'll stitch this down, and then I'll come back and just finish this by hand when all the rest is done. Glasses case 2. I like it a lot better. There's no top stitching that shows through except for right here in this little tiny corner, which is where I turned, where my bias was attached, and I went to turn the corner right there, and I just reinforced it, so there's a little bit there. One side is whip stitched by hand and one side is machine stitched down, and now that it's done, it takes a little work to tell the difference between the two, but that's how I did it. So this is going to be the one I'm going to keep. I'm going to switch out of my ugly taco and get my favorite little sunnies in one side. And if you've ever used a double-sided thing, it helps if you flip so that you don't end up with the earpieces on top of each other. So you just want to make sure that they are in there in a way that the earpieces don't line up on top of each other. So I'm looking to see how I want to put those in. Like this. Alright, so there's 2 pairs of glasses. It's nice and compact to fit in the purse. And because I have 2 different fabrics, I can always put the sunnies in on the polka dotty side and the regulars in on the houndstooth or whichever to make it easy. So, super simple little double glasses case that you can make too. And I think what I'll do, there's nothing to the pattern. Let me just show you my pattern. This is it. So in the resources page on my website, www.sews2reap.com, I'll put it down here, I'll have a little sunglasses thing that goes to this video that's gonna have sort of just this little piece of paper or the measurements for it and where the little fold lines are, and you can follow along with this video and make yourself a little pair of double sunglasses if you want to. Okay, happy sewing. See you next week for another fun video.